Nintendo Game Talk.
Welcome everyone to Nintendo Game Talk. My name is Koloko, and today I'm going to discuss all the talk about video game consoles dying. A recent report from a research firm called Strategy Analytics predicted the Nintendo Switch gaining control in 2019, outselling the PS4 by just a hair. What I found interesting about the article is the note at the bottom of this report by David Watkins, the director of Strategy Analytics. He said this: contrary to some expectations, the global TV games console market remains healthy. Many pundits have written it off over the years for reasons ranging from emergence of cloud gaming to the dominance of mobile devices and to the arrival of VR. But it refuses to die. In fact, there's an argument that the enduring appeal of the TV games console, now in its sixth decade, continues to demonstrate the weakness and limitations of alternative games platforms. I find this very interesting, as I remember the talk a few years ago about how this was supposed to be the last generation of home consoles, that mobile gaming, VR were taking over, and how there's even a new competitor in the mix, game streaming. I'm not taking any of these equations out. I still think that a lot of people will probably migrate to those alternatives over home consoles. The mobile market is just too large to ignore. It makes more money than the regular home console gaming, and it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon, with analysts predicting the gap between those two widening over the next few years, especially with more and more large developers joining the fray by making their IPs that were always played on PC and home consoles available on mobile for the first time. I personally hate gaming on a cell phone, but I understand it's just too easy for parents to buy their kids a $50 phone that they can use to play games instead of a console. Also, you have a phone on you anyways. It's just too convenient. As far as VR goes, this data from Super Data Research projects the VR industry to grow by leaps and bounds in the next few years. I myself don't see it getting that huge, as every single headset I've ever tried has made me feel sick, and I find a lot of people play video games to relax. Strapping a helmet to your head that induces vomiting is not my idea of relaxing. Now, as far as game streaming goes, I just don't think the infrastructure is there for it to appeal to the masses. It relies on above average internet speeds that the US is just not equipped for. That's not even getting into ownership rights. Will most games that are streamed only going to be rented like they do in Japan? It just has a lot of issues. Maybe in a few years, but I don't think that this is ready for most anytime soon. So that leaves us with PC and home consoles. Out of these 5 platforms, PC and home consoles is my favorite, obviously, but unfortunately, they're both in a downward spiral, even with things like Steam on PC and gaming consoles, biggest 2 competitors in Sony and Nintendo, consistently breaking records this gen. PC gaming and home consoles are expected to keep regressing while smartphone gaming is growing. Just like David Watkins, the director of Strategy Analytics, said, it's taken longer than most analysts have expected, but unfortunately, this is the route that the gaming industry is going in. Smartphones, VR, and game streaming. But this is not expected to happen for a very long time. In the meantime, there are a few things that we can do. As much as GameStop is so convenient to use GameStop and buy used games, try not to buy used games from GameStop. Try to buy new games from GameStop. Support your console. Support the gaming industry. If you like video games, buy video games. Pay them full price for video games. Always pay the industry. Always try to support the developers. Don't download illegal ROMs. Don't use, stuff like that. Don't use illegal services. I would even say don't retweet. Don't pay any attention. Don't give any attention to these people with, emulators and ROMs running, console games on the ROMs, because ultimately that all slows down the momentum of the gaming industry. And if they have their games where you can download them and stream them, that's just another way for them to control so you don't own the game. So we all have a part to play in this to keep home console and PC gaming alive, to keep ownership of games alive, and see how long we could ride this out until everybody's just gaming on their smartphone and VR devices. That's all I have to say for today's video. Thank you for sitting through that monotone delivery, and until next time, later.